We're probably taught not to talk to strangers, but my next guest wants you to do just that this Human Rights Day. A Stranger Kind is a series of events where members of the public meet a volunteer with an interesting story. It's the opportunity to ask people outside of your circle questions you may not have the opportunity to do. At Cape Town's waterfront on Monday, you can sit down with a hearing-impaired radio host, a woman who got voluntarily sterilized, an HIV-positive recovering drug addict, and many more. A Stranger Kind is the brainchild of Madi van Schalkwyk, who joins us now. Madi, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. You know, I've sat at airports and at malls and looked at strangers go up and down and wondered what their story is. And you know, your event gives the opportunity for a bit of that, finding out a stranger's story. Where does the idea come from?
Yeah, so we've been working with the methodology of storytelling for quite a while, and we've seen how when we create safe spaces to have these opportunities to have conversations, how people get a different insight into other people's lives and how they understand a little bit how other people live or the decisions they make. But because it is a one-on-one conversation that we're facilitating, it also allows people to not feel judged for the questions or the ignorance they might have about some of these topics. And so it's been a concept that we've been running with for the last 4 years, and we're excited to see exactly the impact it has had, to see how people can actually change their opinions about other people or their ideas around themselves even after 45 minutes, just having a normal conversation with a complete stranger.
What motivates these strangers to come and tell their stories, to be vulnerable to people they don't even know?
I think a lot of the volunteers that we have were actually at some point an attendee at one of our events, but I think people realize that even their most basic lives actually has value. And I think our volunteers have seen over time the impact those conversations can have, but they also get the opportunity to meet interesting people or get challenged by their ideas. A lot of our volunteers, however, are people that know that they have overcome something, or that they realize that someone else could benefit from their life experience. And so they see the value in not only educating people, but also being almost a source of hope. And of course, forming part of this community and meeting new people is also a great benefit for people to sign up to our events.
Have you had any feedback from past attendees, past volunteers about what practical value it added to their lives?
Oh, definitely. I mean, just to use myself as an example, when I've had a conversation with some of our volunteers that has some impairments, it has changed me as an organizer in terms of how we want to host events or be sensitive to be really inclusive. But we've seen how people have walked away talking to a pastor that mediates gang violence in the Cape Flats and understanding the value of male mentorship, or a teacher that actually facilitates quite a few classes that has spoken to a domestic abuse violence survivor, and realizing just the terminology around women, how they want to change that. And so it's sometimes people walking away from a topic that they didn't necessarily expect what they're going to learn out of it, but definitely always a learning from not just perspective, but also how they want to go ahead from there on, realizing, you know, if I've learned something new from a complete stranger today, what else might I be wrong about, or what else can I learn from the next person? And so I think people see the potential of really finding a place where it's okay to still be ignorant, and then walk away not just with that learning, but also an understanding that, you know, there's a beauty in our diversity.
So who are the volunteers that we're likely to meet this weekend?
We've got an incredible bunch of volunteers. I think we're at about 15, and they range from an organ donor, someone talking about hypnosis and psychic gifts. We've got someone that's on the autism spectrum, an ex-prisoner, a person living with HIV, a hearing-impaired radio presenter, and also a pastor that mediates his gang violence on the Cape Flats. He'll also be there. And yeah, our topics range. There's quite a big range. So people that are a bit scared or intimidated by some topics, I'm sure they'll find something else that they can maybe start off with and see how the experience is.
All right. It sounds very, very fascinating. Madi, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. You can join the event at the V&A Waterfront Workshop 17 from 11 o'clock on Monday. Attendance is absolutely free.